Merlin Sports.
Hey everyone, welcome to Merlin Sports. This is Fenomena, and I'm joined tonight by DDawg. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing well, man. What's going on, brother?
Hey, not much. I'm excited to break down the Metropolitan division of the Eastern Conference with you. And we're going to rhyme off the teams here. I'm going to name them off in the order that they finished last year. And we'll say which ones from the bottom we think are going to push for a playoff spot this year, and which ones from the top may take a step back. So, of course, the way the playoffs work is the top three in the division are guaranteed a playoff spot, and then followed by the next two best teams in the conference get the wild card. So let's rhyme them off. Last year, we have the Columbus Blue Jackets, the New Jersey Devils, the Philadelphia Flyers, the Pittsburgh Penguins, the Washington Capitals, the New York Islanders, the Carolina Hurricanes, and the New York Rangers. And so the Rangers and the Hurricanes finished with over 100 points. Islanders, of course, got into playoffs, finishing third, and Washington was a wild card last year with 91 points and a minus 37 goal differential. So that's definitely interesting the way they squeezed in. So let's start with the bottom between Pittsburgh, Philly, New Jersey, and Columbus. Which teams do you think have a potential to take a step up this year and either finish in the top three or push for a wild card?
Actually, I think the Devils are the team that's going to make the biggest jump here. I think they addressed. I think they felt they had goaltending concerns. They addressed them with Jacob Markstrom. So they've been a team. They had a hot start last year and they kind of faded. And so they've been a team that's knocked before, and I think this year is the team. I sense a drop off in Carolina a little. So I like the Devils to move up. In terms of the wild card and stuff like that, I'm thinking the Islanders, the Capitals, the Penguins are going to battle for a wild card spot. Those are the teams that I'm looking at. Obviously, Pittsburgh. It goes without saying they have one of the greatest of all time in Sid, and I shouldn't disregard Evgeny Malkin because he's up there as well. Those two are Hall of Fame players. I mean, they have Chris Letang as well on defense, but those two guys, the two forwards, I mean, they're basically the bread and butter of Pittsburgh for years, and so Cal Dubas, our old friend in Toronto here, he's trying to have one more run for Pittsburgh. He's made a few changes. I'm not sure those changes are going to help them, but I like those three teams: the Islanders, the Capitals, and the Penguins to battle it out. And then you asked me about my top. The top, if you look at the top parts, I'm still going to say the Rangers are the top team in that division. Anytime you have Shesterkin in net, I mean, you saw in the playoffs last year, he was the only reason why they got to they got as far as they did into the conference finals. I mean, he was unbelievable in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, he was a big part of that. That's for sure.
Right. So, as long as I'd say he was the major reason why. I mean, you say that, but if you look at that series against Carolina, the only reason why Carolina didn't win is because of that guy. Like, he was just better than their goaltending in Anderson. So
it's true, but Kreider was pretty big. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you're kind of understating some of their players. I mean, they're Adam Fox on defense, Panarin.
Don't get me wrong. They have talent up front.
Troychuk.
Yeah, they have talent up front. They have a talented team, but Carolina output him for large stretches of that series.
Yeah, but I agree, right? And I think that's the reason why we're both expecting Jersey to make a jump. It's because of goaltending, right? You get in a bona fide number one, makes you better. But I think it should also while I brought up Jersey again, it's not only Markstrom, right, getting a legitimate number one, but they picked up Jake Allen last year at near the deadline. So they have a tandem. Then it's very important to have a capable backup because injuries happen a lot in professional sports.
Yep.
So I think they're pretty solid with their tandem. And then, like, check this out, right? They picked up Brett Pesce from Carolina, picked up Brendan Dillon from the Jets. So they're bringing in 2 veteran defensemen, like solid middle pairing defensemen. So
yeah, and Stefan Olsen, that's a big, also a big pickup for them up front, right? So, I mean, the Devils, I think, really helped themselves in the offseason, right? And to go along with the Hughes brothers, right? So they're good. I think they're going to make the jump back up. I think Carolina takes a step back. They lost a lot of talent, from that team. They lost Aho. They lost they lost Gensel. They lost Ski. Those are some key guys that were part of their run. So I'm saying they're going to finish third. I don't think they're going to drop any below third. I still think they make the playoffs, but they've been hurt by some of their losses, right? You can't lose those kind of guys and expect to continue
right.
on. Right?
So who did you say the top 3 are?
So I got the Rangers winning the division again. I got New Jersey finishing second. I got Carolina finishing third. And then I'll say the Islanders finished fourth. Washington finishes fifth, and I have Pittsburgh finishing sixth. Philly, they didn't do anything in the offseason, really. And I'm not aware. I mean, I don't think there's any major updates in the Carter Hart situation, based on that stuff that happened, right? So I don't think he's playing still. I could be wrong, but I didn't check. I didn't check, but I think he's still out from that Canada World Junior thing that happened in London, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
Philly did get a bit of good news because the highly touted rookie that they drafted from Russia, who was stuck in a KHL, is actually got released from the KHL, and he ripped it up in the preseason here. Mikov is his name, and he looks like he's going to be a threat for the Calder Trophy this year. So it looks like so it's Matviev Mikov, right winger. Looks like Carter Hart is he's on a restricted free agent, so they definitely cut ties with him now.
Yeah, so I mean that he was their, he was a goalie of the future. And now he's gone, right? So that's a huge thing, right? And then I got Columbus finishing last. I think it's really going to be interesting how they react, because the death and the tragic death of Johnny Gaudreau is it's troubling, right? It could bond a team, or it could really hurt a team in terms of their demeanor and how they handle that, right? So I mean, they weren't very good last year, and I don't think they're better this year. But losing someone of that level and that quality, tragically, it could inspire a team, obviously. As many sports teams have been inspired by the tragic death of a teammate, but I'm just not sure that that's going to be enough for a team like Columbus.
Yeah, because I think you need some talent as well. And
right. Well, you lost some major talent with Johnny, right? So
and Patrick Laney experiments also gone too. So he then took his wares to Montreal.
Yep.
So yeah, there's not any high end talent on this team, unfortunately. I almost feel bad for them because that is a bit of bad luck. So yeah, I expect them to take up the basement again, unfortunately. So I'll give you my rundown. Yeah, I think it's very similar to yours again. I have the Rangers winning just because solid goaltending and solid roster. They didn't take too many hits to the roster. I have Jersey finishing second, and a lot of that is because the goaltending and defense solidified, and also Jack Hughes, and they had some injuries last year, and I think they look like they're beginning the season kind of with the full power of their roster.
Yeah.
I have Carolina taking a step back in third. They're still a good team, but I think they lost the most out of all the teams in this division. They think they took the biggest hit. Gensel, Ski, Pesci, Teravainen, Nosen. They took the biggest dip in talent, right? So, and then I'm kind of torn for that. Who's gonna contend in fourth place and for a wild card. I like some of the moves that the Capitals did. I mean, they're taking a chance on Pierre-Luc Dubois, but they're kind of buying low on him. I really like Jacob Chikrin as a defenseman. I think kind of a mistake for Ottawa to get rid of him. They added Matt Roy, another defenseman. Andrew Mangiapane from Calgary, a depth forward. Logan Thompson. So one of those Vegas goaltenders that have been, that's been good for the last couple of years. So they and they shedded the players they've shedded are like veterans or underachievers. So, but of course it's hard to tell how they looked terrible for the first half last year. Didn't look like they were going to make the playoffs until they turned it on. So it's kind of hard to tell. I think they'll battle with Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh, just because, anytime you have Sidney Crosby, of course, on a team-friendly extension, and you have that lineup that's kind of knows that their time is limited to take another crack at the can. Anytime you could line up Crosby and Malkin 1-2 down the middle, it's a pretty good team. So, I kind of like between Washington, New York Islanders, and Pittsburgh to kind of battle it out for fourth place and for that wild card. And the bottom, unfortunately, Columbus, I don't think is climbing out of the basement. And I think the Flyers will be better. They'll be better than Columbus, that's for sure. Will they go into that middle group? They potentially they could. They've only finished 4 points back of the wild card in Washington, and they kind of they went into a slump like the back half of the season. If it wasn't for slumping, they might have had a good shot at the playoffs last year. So
No, I wholeheartedly agree with you. I mean, you anytime you have those two Hall of Famers, you can't count them out. And they did add some. They did add a couple nice pieces in the off season. So we'll see. We'll see how, I agree with you on Washington. They did a lot in the off season. We'll see how they mesh, but they have this. They have a similar problem with Pittsburgh as some of their veterans are getting older. They want one more kick at the can as well with Ovechkin and stuff like that. How much is he playing for winning, and how much is he playing for that record that Gretzky has?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like till Christmas or till the turn of the calendar. He looked terrible last year.
Yeah,
and I think they will not go full rebuild until Ovechkin retires, because I think they're just gonna, as long as they have Ovechkin, they're kind of middle around with the lineup, add veterans, and at least try to get into the dance.
Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't you? You know, the question is, I think the question for Washington this year is, how close does he get to the record? Is he
Yeah.
another year? Is he another year away? Another 2 years away? You know, like we'll see how he goes. I mean, he had a really bad start to the year last year. He kind of turned it up in the second half, but is that age or is that just him? You know, finding his groove in the second half because of the age. I don't know, but I'm kind of hoping he doesn't break the record. You know, he's a great player, but you know that Gretzky record is something I don't want. I mean, the point. I don't think that anybody will ever touch the points record. Goal scoring,
Yeah,
I think.
no.
Goal scoring, I think. You know, there's a guy in Toronto that might have something to say about that goal scoring record in the near future.
It's just consistency and health,
Yeah.
right? Like, and kudos to Ovechkin for handling both of those. But I feel the last couple of years, if you've watched Washington Capitals, are almost just catering to him, and that's kind of why I don't want him, selfishly, I don't want him to break Gretzky's record as well, just because in the manner in which they're doing it, because you know, he's abandoned any defensive responsibility at all, and they're just trying to tee him up for one-timers on the power play. So it's like that's all Washington is kind of playing for.
And that's pretty sad because he wasn't a good defensive forward to begin with, right? So
yeah.
So but we have. It looks like we have this very similar
at the top, for sure.
Yeah. So who do you have finishing in the bottom? Like you talked about Islanders, Pittsburgh, and Washington battling.
Yeah.
You thought Washington is probably the favorite out of the three to get there. So you probably have them. So you have them finishing fourth.
I have Washington finishing fourth, Islanders finishing fifth, and Pittsburgh finishing sixth. Flyers finishing seventh, and Blue Jackets finishing eighth.
Yeah, so we're a little bit different in the middle there.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, that's going to do it for tonight's look at the Metropolitan Division. So thanks for joining, DDawg.
Thank you.